Hello guys, Reverend here. Today I'm bringing you something very special. I've recently acquired a copy of the new game Sacred 3, and I thought I should do an in-depth review on this title. So then, let's get started. First off, I would like to talk about the controls in this game. Upon starting up the game, they give you a little platform to move around on to test things out, to sort of get the feel of the game. You use standard WSAD to move your character, and the mouse to aim your skill shots and dodge. This hack and slash game is the first I've ever played that uses the WSAD model to move your character on screen. Typically when playing a top-down game, only the mouse will be utilized for character movement, and this will typically provide for a very fluid motion of the hero as they navigate the levels in the world. What Sacred does here by changing up the movement controls really throws a kink into everything that is holy. For me, the first thing I did when playing this game was cringe at the very feeling of trying to navigate my character along the staircase descending into level 1. Because the game oftentimes has you moving diagonally across the screen, you'll be holding two keys at all times just to move forward. The WSAD model of movement is nearly flawless in games where your environment is viewed from a first or third person perspective that allows free movement within the map. However, a top-down view of your character being moved through a level placed on a diagonal axis which will have your teeth grinding in no time. And with the game's very limited key bindings, I wish you luck in setting a preferred method of movement. Now let's talk about the skills in the game. Let's be honest here, skills are what make or break the classes in terms of fun and playability. I've currently played as two classes, one being the Seraphim, a personal favorite from Sacred 2, and the other being the special class, the Malakim. Both appear to have the same starting ability in your one slot, and the 2 ability pushes enemies away on the Seraphim and heals the caster on the Malakim. The abilities from what I have seen are well implemented and useful. However, they are very spammable and arguably too strong. You can literally cast your number 1 ability over and over, just laying waste to a huge area of the screen. The way that spamming is countered in Sacred 3 is by having to collect orbs from fallen enemies that will then return charges that you can use to cast your abilities. This is very easy to replenish after slaying a small army of monsters by spamming your skills, and refunding your energy for the next conflict. Overall, I find that skills in Sacred 3 are lacking originality, diversity, and definitely animation. The exact same animation is used to represent multiple skills and abilities, and this is very lazy implementation of visuals, which otherwise look pretty good in this game. The levels or missions in Sacred 3 are not what you'd expect after coming from Sacred 1 or 2. The levels are completely linear and must follow a chosen path that the game designers have set for you, completely removing the open-ended sandbox of adventure that was once the games of this series. Again, I find the mission model to be really lazy design, and that's a choice by the programmers. I definitely foresee the linear maps and level designs angering most people that are faithful fans of the previous installments. The monsters in Sacred 3 are generally very boring, unimaginative, and lead to very repetitive encounters that make you just want to flash through the level to get to the next zone, in hopes of finding something worthy of a challenge or just different. However, for the first 2 hours of the game, this does not happen. You will learn how to overcome your enemies in a very short amount of time and just be uncontested the rest of the way through the missions. The final boss at the end of the levels are a little tricky to master, I will give them that. The first boss is a giant troll that uses differing power attacks that the player must dodge or suffer the consequences of a ridiculously long stun time. However, upon playing for roughly an hour, you'll manage to learn the finicky controls just enough to avoid most damage from the boss. The second level boss is Malphite from League of Legends, and was literally the easiest boss fight I've ever encountered. The fight lasted only 2 minutes, maybe, and after watching his initial rotation just once, his attacks were completely predictable for the remainder of the fight. The footage in the recording is my first time playing this game ever, and on the hardest difficulty, which is Legend. As you can see, I managed to breeze through it with very few close calls. A major exploit that I've found already lies in level 2. The character must channel their energy into a portal that will allow you to access the final boss of the map. Upon beginning the channeling, monsters will begin to spawn. These monsters come at the player en masse and are worth every bit of experience as others are that are programmed into the levels. You can literally sit there and let them spawn on you for as long as you like. I did this for some time, managed to gain 1/3 of a level before succumbing to boredom on a suicidal scale. I would recommend doing this for no longer than 5 minutes, then proceeding to kill Malphite. On occasion, you'll receive a reward for completing the objectives on the world map, or simply just by progressing through the game as is mandatory. You can equip different weapons or skills to help enhance the playability of your class. Skills are very limited, and you can only bring 2, so make your choices wisely. I found that after reading through the descriptions of the locked skills, I'd rather just leave my 2 default skills equipped and not even bother changing them. However, I'm sure that for certain scenarios, other skills will be utilized, especially for party play with your friends. I really hope that the game difficulty increases almost tenfold when playing with friends, or else the game will just be a walk in the park. And when I say tenfold, I don't mean give the monsters 10 times stats. That's just boring, and again, very lazy. I'd have to say that just looking at the framework of this game, there is something here that can be utilized to expand upon. With that being said, there's a lot of work that would have to be done. I think to make this game at all successful will require a DLC or a mod that's a complete overhaul of the game's leveling mechanics and map layout. This game needs to hold true to its deep roots and re-grasp the fundamentals that so many players fell in love with back in the day. This game started out on a good foot by having such a great fan following, and then decided to literally spit in the face of those that would have pre-purchased another game of the Sacred series. The company that published Sacred 3 is Deep Silver. They did not have their hands on the original or the second game of the franchise. So with that little bit of info, and then stepping back from Sacred 3 and looking at it as a whole, you can sort of forgive some of the changes that were made to the game. They, as a company, may not have been able, or just didn't have the resources available to make an open-world genre game like we're so used to. Perhaps it was never in the agenda to begin with. So now that we are stepped back from the Sacred series and just looking at the game by itself, I would have to say that there's a lot of promise in this game, and what they have presented will provide a good foundation to expand upon. The use of character class and game mechanics will allow this game to easily shift to console, and I would highly recommend that it does. A game like this will simply not contend on the same platform as other great games like Diablo, Torchlight, Baldur's Gate, Sacred 2, or Path of Exile. When stacked up with the other games of this genre, Sacred 3 falls horrifically short, and I think most people will find themselves rather playing another game of the same type. These hack-and-slash dungeon crawlers are plentiful and addicting. Most others will give much more in terms of playtime, character options, customization, depth in classes, and difficulty. Let's not even get started on loot, which there really is none of in Sacred 3. Overall, Sacred 3 falls short of its competitors and fails to deliver the third installation of the Sacred series. This game is going to be a short-played, quiet voice that is quickly lost in echo and forgotten. Do not think of this release as a Sacred game, but just another chapter in the lore of the Sacred universe, because it is just that. It is a game continuing the story of the realm Encaria. If you are very interested in the lore surrounding the game series, I'd recommend this game. You will have a lot of fun. But if you're seeking riches, glory, or quite frankly a challenge of any sorts, look elsewhere. There will be more loot, more fun to be had, and probably more players to interact with. After weighing the pros and cons of this game, I have to give it an overall score of 3 out of 10. Maybe pick this game up in 3 months when it's on sale on Steam, or when it finally comes out to console. Thanks for watching, and this is Raverin.
The swiftest strike against darkness can only come from the darkness itself. And a little attitude doesn't hurt either.
In ages past, heroes defeated the Dark Elf matriarch to save Ancaria. Her son Zane swore revenge because he wanted to kill her first. He brought war to the lands in search of the legendary artifact, the Heart of Ancaria. Once he almost succeeded in reaching the heart, but was ultimately foiled at the Seraphim Citadel. So he swore revenge again, and turned Ancaria into his personal outhouse for a century. But when all hope seemed lost, a wanderer returned to the Seraphim Sister Telari, oldest of the Seraphim, but don't tell her I said that, returned from a mysterious journey bearing blessings from the gods, new allies for the battles ahead, and an omen, Arya, the first child of immortal parents, and a gift for the struggle ahead. For the gods had blessed Arya with telepathic powers so potent she can predict her mother's dinner plans 3 days in advance. She's that good. Knowing that the Seraphim could not defeat Zane alone, Sister Telari formed a plan to gather the greatest warriors of all the peoples of Ancaria. In time, the call is answered. The fiery Saphiri sail forth from their islands, axes in hand. Ancarian rangers cast off their cloaks and rush with their spears into battle. The Kukuri archers, whose arrows darken the skies, depart their mountains. Even the holy Seraphim return to the world to strike down the Ashen Empire. And from unknowable realms come the Malachim and their mysterious powers of blood and darkness. Together they would strive to defend the defenseless, save the unsaved, and put an end to Zane's unending quest for vengeance once and for all. At Telari's insistence, Arya would guide and support them from a safe distance. The situation is dire. Emperor Zane seeks to slake his thirst for revenge with the heart of Ancaria in the city of Helios. A small group of heroes must thus stand against an entire empire. The time for resistance is now!
So I assume we're not here to stand dramatically around a table?
My apologies. The Resistance needs you all desperately to fight off Zane and his Ashen Empire. Some of you have been chosen as the greatest warriors of your people.
And then there's me.
This is my daughter Arya. She will guide you. She may be young and untested, but she is the best telepath we have.
Thanks.
Now, for the matter at hand. Helios, the pride of the Saphiri, was the last free city in Ancaria.
Was? We have a saying, he who interrupts a storyteller spoils the ending.
As I was saying, the Saphiri people have long defended Helios, along with the heart of Ancaria, the land's most powerful artifact.
I've seen it. It's as big as my head.
And it's under attack. The Ashen Empire found a way around its Saphiri guards. Zane hired a mercenary named Cartel to infiltrate and pillage Helios.
By my sunburn, I threw that creep into prison 3 times, and once into the ocean!
The Resistance reports that Cartel's men disguise themselves as traders and commoners, then attack the city from within.
Don't tell me it's too late to smack some holy justice into these guys.
You'll get your chance. Cartel's forces are sacking Helios as we speak, taking innocents prisoner, allowing the Ashen Empire to seize the heart.
Then let's get these heroes over there and get the heart of Ancaria back.
It may be too late for that, but not for the people of Helios. Who will protect them if not for you?
You're right. Not sure I can get everyone there in one piece anyway. Forget I said that.